Japan makes lots of cool stuff like arcades and sushi. One of the most important things they make to me is their cars. They made some of the best automobiles on this earth. Some of them we never even got the chance to buy in the States. Some of them are good enough that people will fly to Japan just to buy these cars and ship them back for Ferrari level price tags. I'm Austin and I like cars, and this week I'm gonna be telling you all about my favorite Japanese cars of all time. First is the GR Yaris. The Yaris is one of the newer fun cars to come out of Japan, and it is the newest car on this list. Although Toyota hasn't had as many hits as it did back in the 90s, when Toyota lets its engineers go crazy, they make crazy cars. This is a WRC homologation special, like the Group B days of old. And if you don't know what that means, in order to make a super cool race car, Toyota has to make a super insane road car so they can race the race car. Does that make any sense? Good. You can think of the GR Yaris as a race car that has been put on the street. Usually, the Yaris is a front-wheel drive, kind of anemic hatchback, but the GR trim is all-wheel drive and turbocharged. And even though it only has a 3-cylinder engine, that little 3-cylinder cranks out 270 horsepower. It is one of the greatest horsepower per liter cars ever made. Like a lot of cars in this list, and like I mentioned before, we never got the Yaris in the States. However, we did get the GR Corolla here, which is pretty dang close. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's just as fast, and that little extra size might just be your jam. If that's not your jam, it's time to reject modernity and embrace the 90s. The R32 generation Nissan Skyline was released in 1989. It was made until 1994. Now, I'm not the biggest Nissan fan in the world, but this is really where they were on top of their game. 90s Nissan cranked out good cars at the same speed Willy Wonka injures kids. At the same time they made the R32, they were making the 300ZX, the 180SX, also known as the S chassis, and the lesser known but still great Pulsar. But the cream of their crop was and is the Skyline. And I want to make it very clear, if you've been paying attention, I am not just saying the Skyline GTR. The GTR is a fantastic version of the R32, but I'm including the rear-wheel drive GTS as well. I'm not saying every single trim of this car was great, but I'm saying that the 8th gen Skyline had some winners. Speaking of winning, the top level trim GTR is one of the most successful cars in motorsport of all time. And when it wasn't winning motorsport, it was comfortable and luxurious. I have had the pleasure of driving an R32 Skyline. They are just as good as you think they are. These days they may have skyrocketed in price, but they are kinda worth it. Maybe. What would you get if a Rolls-Royce was designed by a Japanese man? You'd get the Toyota Century. The Toyota Century is a limousine cruiser designed for the passenger over the driver. And it's not just for those in an executive position in a company. This is an official state car for the executive of Japan. Now, the interior is designed for maximum comfort and tranquility. If you said sporty in the design room of the Century, you would have been fired on the spot. The engine is a buttery smooth V12. Built to bring you up to speed gradually. It's understated and dignified, even down to lace curtains in the rear seat and being able to kick the passenger side seat down to put your feet through like it's a recliner. The Toyota Century is the best open secret of Japan. And as of last year, we can start to import the 2nd gen. If you're looking for a reliable, super luxury car, the Century may be your perfect fringe option. I don't have a good segue for this. I love the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. I don't know if my love for it comes from motorsports, such as WRC, or if it's the soft spot in my heart for Initial D. I just really like the Land Evo. My personal favorite is the Evo 4. A lot of the generations for the Evo really aren't that different. They got a lot of small adjustments and changed a lot over quick generations. But the 4th generation was the first to complete the Evo's signature all-wheel drive setup with active yaw control. And I know that sounds like complete future tech, but it's pretty simple. What it does is let the car automatically figure out where it needs to put the power at any time, and it can put up to 100% of the engine's power to any one wheel at any point that it needs to. Now, if importing a car isn't your thing because we didn't get every Land Evo, don't worry. We did get some of them. The US did start to get Land Evos starting with the 8th generation, and I still think they look amazing, they drive amazing, you can do crazy stuff with this platform. My 5th favorite Japanese car of all time is hitting the like button on the video if you're enjoying it, or even subscribing if you want to see more content from me. I've been having a great time with this channel so far, and I hope we can hit my first goal of trying to hit 100 subscribers. If I do that, I'm gonna buy better lights so my green screen isn't as terrible. My real 5th favorite car is the Lexus LFA. It is arguably the greatest supercar to come from the land of the rising sun. When it came out in 2012, it was celebrated as one of the most advanced cars of its era. Lexus engineers made sure of that. When they originally designed the car, it was completely of aluminum, and when it turned out that carbon fiber was a better material and more usable, they scrapped the entire thing and remade it using carbon fiber. The real crown jewel of the LFA is the beast inside it. It is a masterpiece V10 designed by Yamaha, not just to be fast, but to excite every one of your senses. It was specifically tuned to sound incredible. Not to mention they had to give it a digital gauge cluster because an analog tachometer couldn't keep up with the engine. It goes from idle to 9,000 RPM in 0.6 seconds. That is Formula One territory. That's magic. This car's magic. It is also completely unobtainable at this point. They're all worth millions. You'd be lucky if you see one. It is hypercar expensive. Luckily, the next car on this list isn't so expensive. When Honda saw the success of the Mazda Miata, they decided to have their own attempt at making a British-style sports car. They came out with the Honda S2000. It may genuinely be the most pure form of a sports car to ever come from Japan. High revving, naturally aspirated VTEC engine, an excellent manual transmission, short wheelbase with timeless styling, and they cut the roof off. Honda never attempted to make a second generation of the S2K, but when you create perfection on the first try, why bother? These days, a car like this can't really even be made affordable. Sports cars like this still exist, but most of the time you gotta pay well over 50 grand for one. And while the S2K's used prices have ballooned with the rest of the used car market, it doesn't change how good of a deal this stunning little car is. Speaking of little, the next car on our list is part of what's called the ABCs of K cars. That is the Autozam AZ-1, the Honda Beat, and the Suzuki Cappuccino. They're all adorable. I want to give them a little kiss and tuck them into bed. But much like my own children, I pick favorites. The Autozam AZ-1 is my favorite little car ever. It's so little, it needs a different term. It's whittle. Although it really was designed to be a cheap, small car, it doesn't stop it from being fun. It wasn't fast by any means. It had a 0.6 liter 3-cylinder engine in the back, but because of its stature, it was agile, crazy agile, and it can make a daily commute an exciting day. The car's styling is pretty inspired too. Complete with gull wing doors and an off-center hood scoop, it's like a shrunken supercar. Not to mention, the tiny little engine is placed behind the driver. It's mid-engine, also like a shrunken supercar. This is another car, unfortunately, most of the world never saw, so it does have to be imported. But even in decent condition, you can find them for a good price, and they were a riot. Let me spin a tale for you. Let's say your dad was watching Fast and the Furious 1, and much like Dom, he's taking care of his family, but he's gotta go. Then he might have picked up an Acura Integra Type R, almost inarguably the greatest front-wheel drive car to ever be released. It had the screaming 1.8 liter B18 engine, which is still being tuned all the time to this day. It had a bright red racing interior, and it was seam welded for maximum stability and maximum rigidity, like a race car. Things like seam welding are imperative for making a great front-wheel drive fast car. I would go into more detail about it, but I'm gonna be doing a whole deep dive on the Acura Integra, so make sure to tune in for that, because it kind of rules, and my friend Cam is gonna beat me up if I don't. And that's our list. Is what you thought I was about to say, and I didn't talk about the Mazda RX-7 yet. I made an entire video about it, and I own one. It's a 2-seater sports car with a very special 2-rotor engine in it. They are such a unique experience that you can't get from other cars. If you're a gearhead in the slightest, you need to at least try to get some seat time in one. It may not be the perfect car for everyone to own, but almost everyone I've talked to has good things to say about the Mazda RX-7. Now, me personally, I'm gonna be picking the second generation Mazda RX-7, the FC, because it's the one I own and I like it. But they're all really, really good. Because with the RX-7, it was never just about how light it is. It was never just about how good the engine is. It was never about how fine-tuned the chassis is. It was never about how fast in a straight line it is. It was about a chase for a perfect balance of everything. It is, for sure, my favorite Japanese car ever. Hope you enjoyed this list. I really did put some time and effort into thinking about some of my favorite cars to come out of Japan. Tried to do a little variation on it. I wish Japan ended up giving us more of these, even if I do understand why they didn't give them all to us. I missed dozens and dozens of great Japanese cars. If you have a favorite that I missed, make sure to put it in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a video on it at some point. I've really appreciated all the love and support in the last couple videos. Sorry I've been getting so behind. Anyways, I'm Austin. I like cars. If you like cars too, make sure to keep watching videos from me. And goodbye. I'll see you soon. I'm gonna make an Acura Integra video next. Bye bye.